Welcome to the Sauce and Gravy channel. This is Johnny Mac, the gravy guy. Let me quickly show you how to make an SOS gravy for a delicious breakfast casserole. It's very easy to make, it tastes great, you can make it a day ahead of time, it's perfect for breakfast, brunch, or a quick dinner. So let me show you how to make what I like to call a warrior casserole. For the prep work, start off with the shingle that the you-know-what goes on. Round up 8 slices of sourdough bread. Cut it up into good-sized cubes. When you've knocked the bread out, you can put it into a 9x13 baking dish that's been well buttered or greased. Next up to bat, beef, dried beef, a 4.5 ounce jar. Separate it into 2 equal portions and then chop it up. Half will be put directly into the casserole and the other half will be used to make that delicious SOS gravy, also known as chip beef gravy. For this recipe, I'm going to soak to remove some of that saltiness from the chip beef that's going to be placed directly into the casserole. The other half that's going into the chip beef gravy or the SOS gravy, I'm not going to soak to remove the saltiness. Why? Well, because the gravy, it can handle and absorb that saltiness. It's good for the gravy. However, with that said, if you have a low sodium diet, you might want to soak it all. For the final bit of prep work, dice half of a sweet onion. That'll give you roughly about 1.5 cups. Put a skillet over medium to high heat and drop in 2 tablespoons or 28 grams of unsalted butter. Melt the butter down and then drop in your chopped onions. Saute the onions over medium to high heat for a few minutes until they're lightly browned around the edges. So check it out. This is what you're shooting for, and if you wanted to go a tiny bit further, why not? Taster's choice, it's homemade, you can make it how you like it. For your convenience, I've also put a full list of the ingredients in the description section of the video. And check out the Sauce and Gravy channel cookbook, Sauces Made Simply, if you'd like to up your gravy making game, or buy it as a gift for a friend or family member this holiday season. I'll put links in the description as well as in the comments section. When they're done, you can evenly distribute them on top of the bread. Sometimes they clump up, so just reach in there, move them around. That way, there'll be a little bit of onion for everybody. Time to give the chip beef a quick saute, so using the same skillet, drop in 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of unsalted butter, crank that burner up to medium to high. And remember, this batch of chip beef was soaked because it's going directly into the casserole, so I soaked it in water to remove some of that saltiness. I drained it with a colander and tried to pat it off as best possible with a towel. Drop it into the skillet, stir frequently, and saute it for roughly about 1 to 2 minutes. Remove it directly from the skillet and just place it right into the casserole dish on top of the bread and onions. Spread it as best you can. Perfect. Moving right along, it's time to make the gravy. To that same skillet, drop in 2 tablespoons of butter, that's 28 grams. Melt that butter down, and then you can drop in the dried beef that was not soaked in the water. And repeat the same process. Cook the chip beef for about 1 to 2 minutes over medium to high heat, stirring frequently. Once the chip beef is well sauteed, move it to the sides, making a well in the center of the pan, and drop in 4 tablespoons of butter, that's 56 grams. At this point in the gravy making process, we're going to make the roux. So we're going to add flour, 6 tablespoons of flour, that's 48 grams. Quickly stir the flour into the butter and watch the heat. Turn the heat down to low to medium, you definitely don't want to burn this. After the flour has been well incorporated into the butter, you can mix it all together with the chip beef. Cook it over medium to low heat for 2 to 3 minutes, and make sure to frequently whisk it. After the roux has been cooked, drop in 3 cups or 375 milliliters of milk. And for those of you that are scared to make lumps in your gravy, don't worry. If you pour a cool milk, which this was cool, it came directly out of the refrigerator, into a hot roux, it'll be lump-free every time. So just pour it all in, whisk over medium to high heat. Make sure to scrape the sides and bottom of the skillet. You want to get all of that butter and flour mixture up into that cooking liquid. Crack on some black pepper. You can add as much or as little as you like. And it's a good idea to get a flat bottom spatula and give the bottom and sides of the pan a once over. Don't go anywhere, because after a minute or 2, bam, it starts to thicken up like this and you have a beautiful chip beef gravy. It's not a complicated gravy to make, but yet it's packed full of flavor. At this point, you can turn off the heat, give it a quick taste, see if you need to adjust the seasoning. You can crack on some more pepper if needed, And for those of you that might need it, you can add salt if necessary. That takes care of the SOS gravy for this hearty comfort food breakfast. That wasn't very difficult, just took a few minutes to make. Now put that gravy to the side. It's time to finish off the casserole. Crack a dozen eggs into a mixing bowl and then pour in 2 cups or 500 milliliters of half and half. Add half of a teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of ground mustard, and a half of a teaspoon of garlic powder. Spank on some black pepper. Grab a whisk and mix it all together. Give the casserole a once-over to make sure that everything is well combined. Top it off with 2 cups or 226 grams of shredded cheddar cheese. Give it another quick mix just to make sure that that cheese is well incorporated. Stir the eggs and pour evenly over the entire casserole. Use the spatula to kind of press any stragglers that are sticking up down into that egg mixture and evenly disperse everything. And last but not least, cover the top of the casserole with 2/3 of that SOS gravy. Dollop that gravy on first, and then use a spoon or a spatula to evenly distribute it over the top of the casserole. Put the remaining portion of the SOS gravy into an airtight container and place it in the refrigerator. As for the casserole, you'll do the same thing. Cover it with plastic wrap or foil and place it into the fridge. Let it sit overnight. The next day, pop it into the oven and you're ready for a quick breakfast, brunch, or dinner. Alright, so it's the next morning, rise and shine. Your breakfast, it's ready to go. You're going to pop it into the oven. First, remove the plastic wrap if you used it, and then cover with foil. Crank up that oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius. Put it into the oven, covered, and cook for 1 hour. After 1 hour, take off the foil and throw it back into the oven and cook for an additional 15 to 30 minutes. Or until the top is lightly browned and everything is cooked all the way through. Remember that extra gravy that you put to the side? Well, we're going to break it out, warm it up, and you can have it on top of this breakfast casserole. The more gravy, the better. Round up a skillet and drop that gravy in. Pour in half of a cup of milk. That's roughly 125 milliliters. Grab something, preferably a whisk, to start breaking up that congealed gravy into the liquid. Once it's fairly well mixed, at that point you can turn your burner on to low heat. As the gravy starts to slowly warm, it'll reconstitute back into that delicious SOS gravy. After a few minutes, it should look like this. You should be good to go, but it's always a nice idea to taste the gravy just to make sure you don't need to adjust any seasoning. Keep it on low heat until you're ready to serve. Alright, so the SOS casserole, it's out of the oven, looks perfect, cooked all the way through, nice golden brown around the edges and on the top. Plate it up, smother it with that hero gravy, and then you're ready to tackle the day. Thanks y'all for watching the Sauce and Gravy channel. If you found this recipe helpful, be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you're into sauces and gravy, then smash that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the all notifications bell to stay tuned to the latest and greatest sauce making tips and techniques. Thanks again, and remember y'all, whatever they say, keep whisking.